everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. And we're excited today to be doing one of our rankings episodes. And today, I guess you could call this a bonus episode because we're not really talking about Hallmark. We're talking about musicals, which are some of my favorite things in all of movies. So I'm really excited to talk about it. And I am film critic Rachel Wagner, and Terry's here.
Hi.
How's it going?
It's going good.
And
Still breathing.
yeah, how do you feel in general about musicals?
I love musicals. I
Yeah.
think they're fun. I think they're
Yes.
just the right amount of escapism. I love the zany ones.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. Well, anybody who knows me knows how much I love musicals. I am a huge softie, even musicals that nobody else seems to like. I still usually am like, oh, I enjoyed it. And, I've been known to enjoy even things like Disney Channel original movie musicals, things like
sure.
that. I love musicals. And so today we're actually talking about musicals before 1970. So classic musicals. And if you want to be a part of the discussion, if you want to contribute, then join our Patreon, and we ask our patrons for each one of these lists that we make if they want to submit their lists and how they want to contribute. So all that information will be in the description. Please check out the Patreon. It helps us so much. And yeah, did you have any sort of rhyme to your reason as far as what you included on your list?
No, because this one was really hard. I just chose ones that I do really enjoy. They might not be the best or well known, but
Mm-hmm.
there's something about them that I watch more than once, like a repeat watching to them.
Yeah. Same with me. And were there any tough cuts that you really wanted including your top 12, but you couldn't fit in?
Yeah, like I took Easter Parade off.
Oh, okay.
Because I was like, this whole list is going to be Judy Garland. I was like, I got to make some cuts here. And spoiler alert, I've got two Judys on here, but I decided to cut Easter Parade.
Yeah.
You know,
I also have two Judys on my list, but I cut another one that was a tough cut at the 13th spot with
yeah,
Mimi in St. Louis, which was very difficult. I love that movie so much.
yeah.
Other tough cuts, Brigadoon, that was hard for me. I love that. I love State Fair. I feel like a lot of people don't like that, but I really enjoy it. The Roger Hammerstein one.
Yeah.
Seven Brides for Seven Brothers didn't make my cut. Funny Face didn't make my cut, which I
That was a
love.
hard cut for me
That was
because
a
I
hard.
feel like I'm the only one who truly loves that movie. Because
I
I,
If
you
you were to
know,
come into my living room, you'd see my trilogy of Audrey
yeah,
posters on my wall. I have Audrey, I have Funny Face, Breakfast at Tiffany's, and My Fair Lady
yeah.
on my wall. So
It
I
seems like
love
the new discourse is this movie isn't that good. And I'm like, excuse
yeah,
me? No, it is,
it
but
is
it was a
really
tough
good.
cut for me to
Yeah,
make.
it was. But let's dive in. Let's talk about our number 12. And this one might surprise people, but maybe not because they know how much I love animation. My number 12 is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
That's
I
a
do
nice one.
think it
That's a
is
good
one of
one.
the finest films ever made. I do think it holds up extremely well.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, the animation. I think it's such a satisfying film as far as it really gives you everything that you could want. It's got humor, it's got scares, it's got sad parts, when Grumpy's crying, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, kill me. It is so good.
I mean, it's a great movie. Yeah.
It's a great movie. And a lot of people are really hard on the old princesses, and I think they're not like strong enough characters. But
Oh,
really,
I
when you think
disagree on
about
that.
it, yeah, when you think
Yeah.
about it, Snow White is very brave and she's
Yes.
very kind and she loves nature. I mean, there's lots of quality things that we can take
Absolutely.
from Snow White as a character. And I love the design of the evil witch and the way that the animation moves and flows with the colors, especially when she transforms. It's beautiful and
Yes.
it's just unbelievable that not only was it all done by hand, but it was the first feature film from a major studio
Yeah.
animated film and
And it's
and
still holds up today.
Yeah.
Just when you look at it, like the animation, everything, it's
Yeah.
just it's so strong still,
It
all these years later.
really does. And I hesitated putting it on my list because I don't love the singing, the high
Mhm.
pitched squeaky
Yeah.
singing that they got, but I
Well,
do love the songs, and that just it is kind of dated that someday.
yeah. Well,
Don't
it is
know
Shirley
that.
Temple, right?
No, it's
No.
Adriana
Oh,
Castellucci is the name.
that's who does
Um
the singing. Yes. Yeah.
yeah, and that was just the style at the time. But
Yeah.
there's hi ho, oh hi ho.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
those
a
are
great
great.
song. And
And the songs are still sung today in
mhm.
various versions and everything Disney.
Yeah, yeah. I thought about Pinocchio because I do think that has probably uh, it has one of the best songs ever written and for music for a motion picture, obviously, and When You
Yeah.
Wish Upon a Star. But
Yes.
and I've got no strings. It's got some great songs for
No, me too.
Pinocchio, but overall I enjoy Snow White
Yeah. You can
more
make a whole list
than
on Disney
Pinocchio. Yeah.
animation,
Yeah.
especially the classic ones.
Well, and we probably should do our favorite animation one of these days. That would be fun.
Yeah.
Especially, it would be really hard for me, but it would be
Yeah.
fun.
Oh, it would be hard for me to not pick Disney.
Yeah.
Not because like I adored like Disney can do no wrong. It's just I'm so used to the Disney
Yeah.
animation though. But there's
Mhm.
others I like. But
Yeah. But yeah, I think that Snow White and Seven Dwarfs is a really special film, and it's not just because it's first, it's because it's really quality.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
So
It's a
that's my
good
number
pick.
12.
Sorry. My number 12, I had to pick a Christmas movie. There's too
Mm.
many, but I decided to go with White Christmas, 1954. It's got Bing Crosby, Danny Kaye, Rosemary Clooney,
Yeah.
Vera Ellen, and it's in Irving Berlin. He wrote all the songs, and it's I don't know. It to me, if, I feel like that's like a traditional Christmas musical, if that makes any sense. But I just love Bing Crosby and I love Rosemary Clooney and I love them
Mm-hmm.
together here. And the costumes and the sets are just gorgeous to look at. And I
Mm-hmm.
love like the dance numbers and they sing White Christmas and
Mm. It's so good.
so it's so much fun. And Danny Kaye is great.
Uh-huh.
He always is. And the whole thing
I
about them trying to make those two date and faking an engagement,
yeah.
so ridiculous.
I love White Christmas. It's
Yeah.
really fun. The only reason I think Easter Parade gets my Irving Berlin bump
Yeah.
is because of the minstrel
Yes.
thing,
Oh,
which is not my favorite.
yeah. There are certain aspects that haven't aged well, but
Yeah.
you
So that's
know,
why Easter Parade gets the bump for
yeah.
me, but I do really, really enjoy White Christmas. It's a
That I
lot of
go
fun.
sometimes in it. I'm like, I think I can forgive it. For because it's not all out. It's not a whole entire film about that.
Yeah,
Or,
yeah.
or like that. But there's some things that don't age right, and
Yeah.
we have to accept that in a part of history. Not
Sure.
that we agree with
And
it.
yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, I think it's certainly aged way better than Holiday Inn, that's for sure.
Yes. See, that's why I didn't pick Holiday Inn
Yeah.
because I thought White Christmas aged better.
Yeah. That one it's tough to watch that.
Yeah.
I understand, and I'm not saying that people can't have it on their list,
Yeah.
but it's harder
It's true.
than White Christmas.
For real.
But White Christmas is really good. You
Yeah.
can't beat him singing that song. I mean, the
Oh
beginning.
no.
Gosh.
This, you know, a second
Yeah.
time he sang it in the movie because
Yeah.
I think didn't he sing it in Holiday Inn? He did, yeah.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And then we'll follow the old man wherever he wants to go.
I love the
Yeah.
sisters number too.
Oh
It's
yeah,
a lot
yeah,
of
yeah.
fun.
Yeah, that is a lot of fun.
And
That's a good
they got to
pick.
save an end. This is it's probably not the origin, but it's
Yeah.
one of the origins of the got to save the something
Right. Yeah.
holiday movie.
Snow, snow, snow.
And then they get
Let's
there,
see.
there's no
Should we
snow.
keep a tally of how many times I sing in these episodes?
Oh, there's one that I
Sorry,
might bust out.
apologize to
There
listeners.
actually might be one that I say the name and I'm gonna eventually bust out into the song. I'm gonna try really hard not to. Don't want to break anybody's ears.
Well, my number 11 is one I struggled with a little bit because I admit I don't love the ending, but I just felt like I had to include it, is My Fair Lady. I have it at
Uh,
11.
oh boy,
And
I have that higher up.
oh, okay, good, good. There's so many great things about
Oh
this
yeah,
movie. Wonderful songs. I could have danced all night.
yeah.
And, The Rain in Spain. Um, you have the wonderful performances. And a lot of people give Audrey a lot of flack because they wanted Julie Andrews to
I
play.
think she's great in the movie though. She really is. And because she's dubbed, that was like a mini scandal back then. It kind of broke the bubble because she was dubbed by I have it written down here. I always remember. Oh, now I lost my place. My gosh. Oh, where's
Well,
my Oh, she was dubbed by Marnie Nixon.
yeah,
And
who
when
did
that
all
came
the
out, that cost her the Oscar nom. And I think it's kind of silly because she performs more than she sings, like the character there, but she's so good in it. But I
Mhm.
agree on the ending.
Yeah. Yeah, I just wish that she had just gone in and had her, her little flower shop, like
Yeah.
was the original. Like I think that would be such a better ending.
That's how it ends in the play. They're not together in the play.
Yeah, of the I haven't seen the play
Pygmalion.
in,
Yeah.
yeah, the original Pygmalion.
Yes, they
They
don't. I think he changed that for the movie version.
because I think the My Fair Lady, they do end up like in the musical. Don't they end up together in the musical?
In the musical, they do end up together, but I
But in the
agree. She should have
play, in
drop
the
kicked him because
Pygmalion.
he wasn't worth it. In the Pygmalion, the original stage version that George
Mm,
Bernard Shaw
right.
wrote, they don't end up together. And he wrote when in the original film that they did in the 30s. And he wrote George Bernard Shaw wrote the screenplay, and they were like, "You got to make it end. It doesn't work. People are sad that they're not together." And he was like, "Excuse me, no." But he changed it for the film, and I get it.
Yeah.
They wanted to end on a kind of hopeful note, and like you do care for those characters and you're rooting for them, but he did not deserve her in the end. He really didn't.
Mhm. Yeah, and you just didn't picture that they would be happy together.
No.
But I love so many of the songs on this. The Street Where You
Yeah.
Live is a wonderful song. Um, I love the Rain in Spain.
Wouldn't it be lovely?
Just You Wait. Oh, wouldn't it be
Yeah.
lovely? I
Yeah.
don't love Her Dad. I don't love those songs.
I know her dad is the worst. Practically selling her off. Oh gosh. Beautiful
Victims of
costumes
luck
and
with a
man.
little bit. Oh, the
The
costumes, some of the
costumes and the
best ever in the
sets are
history of
just
film.
gorgeous. Absolutely
Mm-hmm.
gorgeous. They won an Oscar.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Amazing. Like the ascot whole scene with, I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
that's
it's beautiful. The black and
legendary.
white. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh.
Yeah.
It's like if you
And
love costumes, you're just gonna drool all over it.
yeah. And so I really do enjoy the film. It is too
Yeah.
long, and it you forget how long it is till you're like, oh my gosh, there's an intermission. Like this is
You
really
know,
long.
I got a chance to see this on the big
Me
screen,
too.
because it was in the theaters, and
Yeah.
to me, it went by quickly, even with the intermission. I was, I
But I
almost
don't know. It's
forgot
just
there
like
was
not one of those.
intermission.
It's just not one of those movies I think of as being like really long.
Yeah,
It's same thing
exactly.
with Sound of Music. I don't really think of that as being a really long movie, and
And
then
I
I'm like,
forgot
oh,
that,
it
yeah, I forgot
is.
there was an intermission. And when the screen popped up intermission, I was like, oh, you never saw so many people run out of the movie theater to go to the bathroom
Yeah.
during that intermission. Because
Right.
it was so funny. The theater had like a countdown clock. It almost felt like it was danger. Like, it was flashing when it got close. I was like, what is this?
Ho, ho, ho! We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
My 11 is Yankee Doodle Dandy from
Aw,
1942.
good
It's
one.
James Cagney, Walter Houston. I think it's Joanne Leslie. Anyway, it's a period piece. It's a biographical movie based on George M. Cohan. A man who was he did vaudeville. He owned Broadway. That was his nickname, the man who owned Broadway.
Mm-hmm.
He was an actor, a playwright, a composer. He did all these things. I mean, this movie is very associated with the 4th of July. It's like a 4th of July movie.
Mm-hmm.
And you have the songs like Yankee Doodle Dandy and Yankee Doodle Dandy. Yeah. Over
Mhm.
there. And Your Grand Old Flag, all those type of stuff.
Yeah.
And give my regards
one.
to Broadway. But James Cagney has so much energy and so much charisma in this movie that it's amazing to just watch him. You get tired watching him. I was like, how does he have this much stamina? Like, he keeps going and going.
Yeah.
And I think it's a little schmaltzy and probably not I'm not sure. I don't know much about George Cohan, but it's probably a little made up here and there, but it's still an entertaining sort of time capsule.
Yeah. It is a really fun movie. I
Yeah.
didn't have that on my list, but I did really enjoy watching it for my blind spot project a couple of years ago, and I thought it was really fun. So I can understand making your list.
Try to watch it on the 4th of July. It is a very patriotic movie.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's people who question patriotic movies, but I just think at the time it was made,
Mm-hmm.
and it covers an entire
Mhm.
life. I mean, it's
Mhm.
not just a year, it's like decades of his life.
And some really good songs, like you said.
Yeah, and it's just like when he's singing Over There for the soldiers,
Mm-hmm.
and when he's walking at the end with all the soldiers coming back from like World War I. I mean, it's emotional too. It gives you that gut punch,
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a time capsule.
Mm-hmm. Well, my number 10 is Calamity Jane. A lot of people haven't seen this. I feel like you don't hear it get talked about much, but I love it. I love Doris Day. I'm a huge Doris Day fan. This was evidently one of her favorite roles that she ever played. And Howard Keel is really great as his Wild Bill, and you have her being Calamity Jane. She goes to the city, to Chicago, to get a singer for what's it called? I forget the name of the town, but anyway, they're in like South Dakota, and she accidentally brings the wrong singer. She thinks it's the famous singer, but it's just her like aide or whatever. And all of the men end up falling in love with Annie, this other new girl, and including Bill. And Calamity gets and Bill and this soldier that Calamity's in love with. And she gets really jealous, and it's got tons of fun songs, and I just really enjoy it.
I know. It's been too long since I've seen this movie. I can't remember the last time I watched it. It was something I watched as a kid a lot because
Deadwood, that's what it's called, Deadwood.
Yes, the town. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Got great.
Very different from the version of Calamity Jane you see on the actual TV show Deadwood. But I think this was originally supposed to be Judy Garland, wasn't it? In Calamity Jane?
That's Annie Get Your Gun.
Oh, that's okay.
And
that's
then,
where I got it.
And then being Betty Hutton. But yeah, great songs. Just came in from the Windy City. The Windy City is mighty pretty, buddy.
I need to rewatch this one. It's been too long. I don't remember it much. It's been too long.
The big hit at the time was this song called Secret Love.
Yeah.
And this film, a lot of people do kind of if you look at the letterbox, there's a lot of people who read a lot of gay subtext into
Oh,
the film,
sure.
which is just kind of funny because of these two women, and there's this whole song of women's touch and this whole thing about secret love and
Well,
everything. But
we're being very sly, I think, by
yeah, they
adding
are.
that in.
Yeah. But it's a beautiful song sung by Doris Day. I think it might have either won an Oscar or nominated. Anyway, it was the big hit of the show, but I still really enjoy the back and forth enemies to lovers between Bill and Calamity.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's really fun. I really enjoy it. So it is my number 10. What's your number 10?
My number 10 is The King and I.
Ah.
This movie, I was debating whether to put it on, but I do love it. I do love Yul Brynner. And my mom used to have a thing where anytime she would find a man attractive, she would always go, if I was only 10 years younger.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother says the same. My brother-in-law says the same thing. He's like, every mom loved Yul Brynner growing up. And my mom loved him. So this movie was, every time it was on TV, we would watch it.
Uh-huh.
But I do love the movie, The King of Siam, the 1930s. It has, that one stars Irene Dunne. And this is essentially a musical remake of The King of Siam, which is loosely based on a real life story. And, it's Deborah Carr. Also being dubbed by Marnie Nixon. She dubbed
giant dresses.
Oh my God. Oh, the costumes.
The costumes.
Ridiculous.
I like this movie. It has some all-time bangers.
Yeah.
Great songs. Getting to know you.
Getting to know you. Yeah.
But the plot is just a little weird for me.
It is.
We're gonna fall in love with a dictator. Yeah.
I think if you watch, it's true. If you watch the non-musical versions, I think there's been a total of 4 in total, including The King and I, live action. The non-musical versions work much better.
Also, there is an animated version of this musical King and I. It is absolutely atrocious. They managed to somehow involve there's like a dragon, there's like a mystical it is really bad. Don't just warning.
I've never seen that one. I know it exists, but I've never seen it.
Yeah.
But I will recommend that if anybody gets a chance, because they filmed it, to see the 2018 Broadway version of it that had Ken Watanabe and I think Kelly O'Hara were the stars. I watched that on PBS. It's filmed. It's beautiful. It is. I would recommend watching both those versions.
I don't know. I saw it once on Broadway. It was like 2000 or 2002, somewhere around there. I saw it before my mission. But yeah, I mean, it's got some absolutely great songs.
Yeah.
But I do have a hard time with the story.
It's true. It is. It is weird. Then they have a side love story.
He's gonna kill all these. You have the side plot with the concubine trying to break free at the same time that we're supposed to be like, oh, it's a little weird. But I do appreciate. I think the songs are really fun. And Yul Brynner, I mean, all-time legend. That he's one of those actors, because there's a lot of actors you can say who's the new. You can say who's the new Jimmy Stewart or who's the new, you can't say that about Yul Brynner.
No.
There's no new Yul Brynner. He was totally unique.
It's true. And Yul Brynner knew this role inside and out because he was the actor who performed it the most on Broadway. He did it until his 70s, right?
Yeah.
Continuing to do this. Yeah.
Well, my number 9 is maybe another one that people don't know about. It's Bells Are Ringing. And this is another one that has a Broadway pro. Yeah. So Judy Holliday had done this role many times on Broadway. She knew it in her bones. And it's really charming. I think that a lot of Hallmark fans will enjoy this movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's about this woman who works for a answering service in the 1950s, and it was released in 1960, and she takes the messages, but she gets too involved in the clients in their lives,
yeah,
and helping them and everything, and Jean Stapleton plays the owner of the answering service, and she's always trying to, tell her to stop getting so involved. And there's this composer who is one of the clients who is lost his partner, left, and so now he has to write by himself, and he's just floundering, and she's getting more and more involved. One day she sneaks over there into his house, and of course it's Dean Martin,
Yeah,
and she
of course.
falls immediately for him,
I mean, who
and
wouldn't?
she's insane, but he falls for her anyway. And it's, I think, pretty funny, and it's got some great songs.
It does.
And especially, and pretty much all of the songs have a real Broadway feel to them. There's like a certain, like, there's no attempt for realism. Like, even in let's say My Fair Lady, there's like a little bit more of an attempt to like make it part of the conversation and part of like, I would say that this is more like straight theatrical
Yeah.
of a musical than the other ones that I mentioned. And in particular, The Party's Over is probably one of the most famous songs, and then I'm Going Back is like just a showstopper. I'm going back where I can be me. And it's just really, really fun. And I think that especially sort of the Hallmark crew will love this movie. So if you haven't seen it, you should check it out.
It's so funny because a couple of weeks ago we were talking movies, and my sister goes, "Do you remember when we were kids? We'd watch that one with Dean Martin with the telephone busybody."
Yeah.
And she had to lift up the newspaper to take a peek at him, sleeping on the couch. And I was like,
and he's like looking at her like, what?
Yeah, I was trying to jog my memory, and then it all came back to me because of my sister who mentioned it. And she's like, we used to watch that all the time because it was one of her favorites. So
yeah, and I wish
that's been recently in my memory because of that.
Yeah, I wish that we could get a revival on Broadway of it.
I think it would be fun.
They haven't done one for a while, and I think maybe they fear that the whole setup is just so outdated that, like, can people,
probably. But I don't think it would.
In the world of cell phones, can people relate to this answering service?
No, no way. I mean, it also wouldn't work if they updated it.
No.
But I do think that they overthink these things. People aren't that dumb. I think they can imagine a world without cell phones.
Yeah. I would love to see it.
I mean, my nephew freaked out one time when he was little, and we went, "Yeah, man, we lived in a time before YouTube," and he was like, "What?" But I think you can grasp it.
Yeah. Well, what's your number 9?
My number 9 is Gypsy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Which I picked mainly because Rosalind Russell is fantastic as the overbearing stage mom.
Mm-hmm.
It's got Natalie Wood. I love Carl Muldoon.
He was the best.
He was the best.
His performance in Pollyanna, I think, is one of the underrated performances. I just always just get so moved by that. Totally. I love that movie in general, but he's so good as the pastor who comes to realize that all this fire and brimstone was wrong.
I mean, yeah.
I actually, believe it or not, I have not seen this. This is a blind spot for me. I have not seen it.
Oh, I would say give it a go.
Yeah, I need to,
because I love it. It might not be for everybody, but it's like so entertaining. Like Rosalind Russell is perfection. Mm-hmm. And Natalie Wood is very good. And she's very believable because it starts off when they're children, because this is based on a true story. Stephen Sondheim wrote the music, and it was the book for the Broadway musical was written by Arthur Laurence, who also wrote The Way We Were and West Side Story, helped write all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's about Gypsy Rose Lee, her overbearing stage mother. And to a lesser extent, her sister, June Havoc, who was actually a successful actress in the 30s and 40s. And she had a successful career. Like once she stopped doing films in the 40s, she had a successful Broadway career. But it's like the mom upset, like,
stage mom.
She takes all these kids like to vaudeville shows. And the gag is that because they call her Gypsy, like Gypsy Rose Lee, well, no, she has another name, but now I can't remember it. But she's like not the good looking one in the family, like her sister June is, and she focuses all on June, and she always wears the cow head, and she rounds up these boys who don't have any families to perform with them, and they drive up in this beat up like car going everywhere. So throughout the whole entire movie, she's carrying this stage cow head with her that they got to put on all the time, which is pretty funny. But at the end of the day, when she's finally going to marry Carl Malden, Rosalind Russell, that is, because June has run away and gotten married. She's broken free from her mother, and there's nobody there to perform. That she gets this idea where she reworks her daughter, who becomes a burlesque dancer, and she becomes super famous for that. And then her fiance leaves her, and at the end, her daughter leaves her too. Like, she's abandoned. She was so overboard, not in a mean, the movie doesn't play her in a mean way. She's just so obsessed with that, but that she does lose out to her daughters and her longtime fiance, so she ends up alone. But Rosalind Russell plays that with such, like she could always do, because she was great, and she didn't even want to do this movie because she wanted to do a straight version of it. But they ended up talking her into it.
Oh, she didn't want to do the musical?
No, she didn't want to do the musical. She wanted to do a straight version of it, non-musical. But they talked her into it. And she was great.
Of course, Everything's Coming Up Roses. It's the most.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Let Me Entertain You, Together Wherever We Go, songs like that. So there's a couple of standouts.
Did Natalie Wood sing her own songs in that one, or she dubbed?
I'm not certain. I'm not certain on that. I'm not.
Yeah.
I wish I would have looked that up, but I'm not certain. I know Rosalind Russell sings and all the other little kids sing, because Natalie Wood doesn't do much singing in that because she's not good in that department. That's why she ends up being a burlesque. It's really sad, but like it kind of matches in reality, because that mom did sue her daughters in real life over the book, over earnings. That was a very strange. Yeah, it was a very strange relationship. I think that Gypsy probably sanitizes the story much more than it was. I mean, she had like June Havoc like ran away from home at 13 or something like that and eloped in real life. And they write that into the movie as well. And it's like, I think that because it's Rosalind Russell, you have more of a sympathetic feel to the mom, and she brings that with her. She's not just one note cartoon character, she's not a one note like villain. There's more to her, and it's kind of sad. But if you like really go into the real life story, and I'm like, whoa, this woman was a lot, but
it says here on Wikipedia, it says that Marnie Nixon had dubbed Natalie's singing in West Side Story the previous year, but Wood did her own singing in Gypsy. It says, while Wood recorded a separate version of Little Lamb for the soundtrack album, she sang the song in the film live on set.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's a mixture. That makes sense.
I mean, because West Side Story is like super hard. Like,
Marnie Nixon, man, she did everybody. Like
she was unbelievable.
Yeah,
she deserved an Oscar for like an honorary special,
totally,
because what she did was incredible. All right, well, my number 8 is Easter Parade. We talked about it in our classic rom-com. I love this movie. I do think it is better than White Christmas. That's my hot Irving Berlin take.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do.
And I love so many sequences in this, particularly I'm just a fella with an umbrella. So good. And when Shaking the Blues Away, that's an incredible sequence. I love the whole song with the hat, the drums crazy or whatever it's called. When
they have such good chemistry.
That hat, and you just watch Fred Astaire with that hat in the drums.
So amazing.
Thing. It's amazing.
So amazing.
The dancing is incredible. And I think they have good enough chemistry.
I buy it. I buy it. I don't even care about the age difference. I buy it.
Yeah.
I totally buy it.
And Ann Miller is so good.
So good. I mean, she's spectacular. Just watching her move. my gosh, just
Mhm.
watching her, those legs, woo,
Yeah.
like she can
Yeah.
move. I mean, she's so stunning to look at. And the way
Mhm.
she moves, like the tap dancing, it's just like, she's so great.
Yeah. And I feel like, I don't know if it's just because Easter isn't as big a deal as Christmas, but I just feel like this one isn't talked about that much as like one of the greats. And I think it totally is.
It's true. I feel like
Mhm.
I don't want to say a lesser Judy, but one they don't talk
No, they
much
don't.
about.
Yeah.
I think it's gaining a little bit more steam in the
Mhm.
last couple of years, like more people are discovering it.
Yeah. Maybe
So, but
my
it's so good.
incessant begging is paid off. I don't know.
It's so good. It's
It's
so
really
good.
good. But what do you have at 8?
I also have a Judy Garland movie, and I picked Meet Me in St. Louis,
Yeah, it's so good.
which is also good. So this one was hard because I didn't know. I was like, do I pick Easter Parade? Do I pick Meet Me in St. Louis? And I ended up picking Meet Me in St. Louis because of the trolley song. Because
So
as a
good.
child, I was obsessed with that. I would actually, I knew the whole song by heart. I think if I can
Yeah.
really think about it, I could probably still repeat it word for word. I had the dance number down. I was mimicking Judy. I mean, this was just something that I loved. And it's Vincent Minnelli. So, he was great at these type of films with the color and the look of it. Like he just pulled it all. He reined it all in. And Judy's so good in it. And it's like it covers all the holidays.
Yeah.
It's
and
like a year.
Margaret O'Brien, so good when
So
she
good.
flips out on Christmas Eve and
Oh my
destroys
gosh, she destroyed the
oh,
snowman. That's another thing. Judy's rendition of Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas makes me cry every time I hear it.
Good.
It's so beautifully sung. It's like even my cat agrees. It's so beautifully.
It's so good. That is my favorite non secular. I mean, that is my favorite non-spiritual Christmas carol.
Sure,
Have
yeah,
Yourself a Merry
totally.
Little Christmas.
I think that's my favorite rendition of just Judy singing it.
It's so beautiful.
It's so beautiful. My gosh, the voice she had,
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, who can't relate to that? That like, oh, you're moving and you don't
You're
want to
moving.
move, and
The
what's going
boy
to happen?
next
Just
door.
change, even if it's not.
Song.
Even if, Could I ignore the boy next door?
She's got her first like it's another thing, and this is terrible because I can't remember her name, but every time she pops up in the party scene, I'm like, oh look, that's the mom from Lassie and from the space show, which now I can't remember, and I'm terrible because I can't remember her name.
Like things just like progressively just fall apart. The dad's trying to do something good for his family. It just gets worse and worse and worse.
So good.
And
Mary Astor plays the mom, and she's so good too in a small role. But
I love her. Like I love her as in the in Little Women.
Yeah,
it's not a very good version of Little Women, but she's really good as the mom.
Yeah.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. If you love Downton Abbey, British period dramas, and espionage mixed with exhilarating romance, you won't want to miss out on author Rosanna M. White's new book, A Beautiful Disguise. In this Edwardian romance, dire straits force Lady Marigold Fairfax and her brother to become private investigators in London. When a handsome lord hires them to look into the father of Marigold's best friend for suspected international espionage, she is determined to discover the truth and even more determined to keep her heart from getting involved. Purchase A Beautiful Disguise for 30% off and free shipping at bakerbookhouse.com. That's bakerbookhouse.com, or use the affiliate link below. Well, my number 7 is one of my favorite musicals. It's The Music Man for my number 7. Some of the best songs ever written. It's got such a tight book. And you don't really realize it when you're watching it until you maybe seen it as many times as I have, which I've seen it so many times. I've literally reviewed it twice in the last 2 months. You don't really think about the fact that like Harold Hill is a terrible person. like we know that of course he's a scoundrel, but like he really is awful. And The fact that they're able to Ebenezer Scrooge him by the end and redeem his character, I think says a lot about how
Unbelievable.
tight the story is,
Yeah.
and how good the songs are. And I, I've seen it actually twice on Broadway. I have a very fondness for The Music Man. I saw it in 2000 during the Rebecca Luker Craig Bierko revival, with my grandma and my cousin, and who both passed on now, and Rebecca Luker has passed on. So I don't know, it's just a special memory to have. And then I saw the most recent Broadway revival, of course, with Hugh Jackman, Sutton Foster, and that was really fun. But this movie version is really good too. Shirley Jones, she's one of the greats of
Absolutely.
classic musicals, of course, in Carousel in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And then this, and just an absolutely beautiful voice. And and Robert Preston, he had originated the role on Broadway. It was in his bones, and so all those great songs, Trouble, 76 Trombones, amazing. I mean, obviously there are parts of it that are outdated, which they updated for the most recent revival with songs like The Sadder But Wiser Girl for Me, and things like that. But Shapoopy, but it's just a wonderful classic musical about anybody can be redeemed, anybody has good in them, and that's even all these stubborn Iowa types.
Yeah. This is a movie that I've only ever seen, I think, once as a child, and I never revisited it. I have to, because I don't have much memory from it. I'm familiar with the songs though, because I've heard other people sing it and renditions. And I think I watched a little bit of that TV movie once that came out a couple years ago. Yeah. Yeah. I saw like a little bit of that, and I always mean to go back to it, but I just never do. But I should, because I know it's a good one. But it's kind of a blind spot because I don't really have much memory of it.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, what's your number 7?
Gentlemen Prefer Blondes.
Oh,
I had to put a Marilyn in here. And
Yeah.
Marilyn's a bit tricky because she did do musicals. But when you think about it, not really, because she just sang a lot in her movies, like a song or two.
Yeah, because this movie doesn't really have that many songs.
It doesn't, but it has, when they do sing, it's some banger numbers. It's Marilyn Monroe, Jane Russell. Of course, it's got Diamonds.
Yeah.
Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend. I think people are
Mm-hmm.
so like Madonna's video Material Girl is an
Right.
homage to that whole entire scene. And Marilyn Monroe and Jane Russell are so good together.
Yeah.
And they
actually just saw this for the first time.
Oh, yeah?
Just a couple months ago for my Criterion Project show that I do. I just watched it. It was on I don't know if it's still on Criterion Channel, but it was on there. They had I think they had a Marilyn collection. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun.
A lot of fun.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And just the shenanigans on the boat, like, when she tries to put her friend next to like the rich guy, because the way and it's a little boy, and she flirts with this guy who's got all these diamonds, and then they get arrested for thievery. I mean, it's and Jane Russell with the Olympic swimmers or whatever.
Oh yeah,
it's really funny. It's cheeky. It has fun. Broadway legend Gwen Verdon was the assistant choreographer for this movie, so she helped all these ladies dance. So there's Broadway connections to this. It was directed by Howard Hawks. So it's a classic for a reason. And I think if you're going to get into Marilyn Monroe films, a lot of people think they're all the same, type, or if you listen to a certain director who made a biography about her, they're all trash. But I would start off like they're all very different. She's better than you think she is, or what people say. But I would start with this movie because it's fun. It's like frothy. It just, these women look incredible. Marilyn's wearing this beautiful gold dress. It's I love it. It's a little too it's a little too smooth looking when they fixed it up, because they removed all the film grain. So if it looks a little weird when you watch the, the restored version or whatever, it's because somebody thought that was a good idea.
Yeah,
But
well, my number 6 is maybe one that our audience hasn't heard of. I don't know if it's as famous because it's a foreign film. It is The Umbrellas of Cherbourg,
mhm.
and this is by director Jacques Demy. And if people are a big fan of at least the aesthetic of La La Land, then you should check out this film because this was heavily influential on Damien Chazelle in the look and style of La La Land. And of course, obviously, all the songs are in French. And the whole movie is sung. It's one of those musicals. It's a simple story, beautiful story about this couple that meet when they're young and in love, and I don't want to give it all away because I want you all to watch it, but things don't turn out the way that they would hope. But they have that moment, kind of similar in La La Land, a moment of reconnecting and seeing what our lives could have been, and it's beautiful, and the music is beautiful, and Catherine Deneuve is gorgeous as our lead Genevieve, and so yeah, it's definitely a wonderful film if you haven't seen it. It's a beautiful romance. I obviously I didn't include it in our rom-com episode because it's not a comedy like at all. But if I was just doing straight romances, it would be on my list for sure.
I have not seen this one.
Mm.
I'm familiar with it, but I've
Yeah.
never actually seen it.
Yeah, you should check it out. It's
Yeah, I know. I like every
really
time
good.
I see it, I was like, I bet you I would love this, but
Mhm.
I haven't gotten to it yet.
And it is it's on a bunch of streamers actually. I'm
Yeah,
looking
I
here.
think it's on.
It's on Criterion, it's on Canopy. So if you have that library service, it's on Canopy, and it's on Max.
Yes.
So if you have that, you can watch it. All right. Well, what is your number 5?
No, we're doing number 6. My number 6, right?
Oh, sorry. What is
Sorry.
your number 6?
My number 6 is My Fair Lady.
Okay, good. Yeah.
So,
Classic.
classic. So good.
All right. Well, my number 5 is my other animated selection. It's Cinderella. I love Cinderella. I love first of all the animation. You have artist Mary Blair, and she used a lot of like real geometric
Yeah.
concepts sort of in her overall aesthetic, and I just think it looks so beautiful. And it's most seen in Alice in Wonderland, but you see it in Cinderella, you see it in Peter Pan, as well as other films. And I love that in just the look of like individual design items, like the king's bed and how large it is, and
Yes.
it's just
beautiful.
things that only an animation junkie
Yeah.
really probably understands. But I love the look of it, but I also love the character arc that you have for Cinderella,
Yes.
where by the time when that dress is destroyed, because she's been so positive up until now, when that dress is destroyed and she has lost all faith, and the fairy godmother comes and she has her head in her lap crying,
Yeah.
it is devastating.
It's
And
devastating.
you've been through so much with that character, and you want her to be happy. And the songs are really lovely. Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo,
Yeah.
and A Dream is a Wish Your Heart Makes, and so this is love. And you have such Lady Tremaine, such a terrific villain. Her whole motivation in
Designed
life is just
wonderfully as well.
designed with the green eyes. Is just great. I think that her dress transformation is one of the finest pieces of Disney animation.
Totally.
Absolutely beautiful.
Just
And
they don't animate like that anymore.
no. And I absolutely love the little scene where it's Sweet Nightingale, Sing Sweet Nightingale.
Oh, yes.
And because they don't do this in animation very much anymore, where she is just singing to herself.
Oh, yeah.
And you get the beautiful bubbles in their animation, and what I love in a lot of films, but particularly in animation in the past, is when they would take time to just let us enjoy the characters and just to sort of slow down, that everything didn't need to be a part of the plot, because that scene is not necessary at all. And I guess maybe I noticed it particularly in animation, because animation takes so long. And so to have an entire scene that is completely extemporaneous, it's completely unnecessary, but it allows you to just sort of breathe
Breathe in the
and be
world.
with this
Yeah,
character. And I think that's so special. And it's such a beautiful vocal of
it
the Sing
is.
Sweet Nightingale. And I wish that we got more of that. Movies are so, particularly animated films, are so plot heavy now that we just don't get to just kind of let's
And they're
just
just
enjoy it.
some of them are just I think they're sometimes too juvenile. Like, I don't
Mhm.
think we have to make it so much
Yeah.
like that for kids. They understand more than we think and better than we think.
Yeah, and there's certainly
They can
plenty
handle
of that in Cinderella with the
Oh,
mice and
totally.
and the stuff, and lots of cute, things for little ones, but you still take that second to just enjoy Sing Sweet Nightingale with Cinderella. And so it's a special movie. I love it. It's one of my favorite Disney films.
Yeah.
So it had to be in number 5.
And the MVP is Gus Gus.
Yeah. And Lucifer, I love that.
Oh my gosh. I used to have like a Gus Gus, like it was a little stuffed ornament.
Yeah.
I used to have that because Gus Gus was my man.
Well, what's your number 5?
I don't like mice, but I like Gus Gus.
Yeah.
Oh, my number 5 is Singing in the Rain.
Oh, so good.
I
have that on my list.
Yeah, so I was like, I'm going to put this on my list. This will probably end up in so many lists, but it's so good. It's so good. Gene Kelly's at his prime, and Debbie Reynolds is great, and the music is great. The costumes are great. The way they lampoon their own industry, the transition to talkies, and Gene Hagen doesn't get enough credit for that voice that she comes up with in this movie. And it's just
my voice.
It's a lot of fun. And there's great songs. There's the wonderful Singing in the Rain whole sequence with Gene Kelly. There's Good Morning, Fit as a Fiddle, Make 'Em Laugh, all these great songs.
Yeah, it's so good. Well, my number 4 is Mary Poppins.
Same.
Oh, okay, good.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a perfect film. I mean,
Totally.
I almost don't know what else to say. I mean, her performance is incredible. I guess a lot of people don't like Dick Van Dyke's accent, but I mean, if that's the only flaw in your movie, then I think you're doing pretty good.
I'm just going to counter that with, if you've seen the sequel, okay,
Lin-Manuel,
whatever he's doing or talking, I will take Dick Van Dyke, because I was like, what is it with this? If this franchise is cursed with men in questionable accents.
I mean, I do actually love that sequel, but
yeah, I do too.
It's one of the few bright spots, I think, in the Disney live action whatever remakes they've done. But it's tough when the original is so beloved.
It's just so good.
It's very difficult. I mean, and the Sherman Brothers, unbelievable songs.
Unbelievable.
And that the animated sequence is so enchanting, so wonderful. And you've got Chim Chiminary, and you've got
my favorite.
My
favorite song.
Arc of the whole arc of the father. It's been tried so many times since to try and duplicate that whole thing of the workaholic father, and it never works. But here you really do see him grow, and you go on this journey, and that final scene with him with the bird lady is just so beautiful. Yeah.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
My number 3, since you had Mary Poppins as your 4, my number 3 is The Wizard of Oz. I mean, it's one of the most perfect movies ever made.
Absolutely.
It's weird because I don't really think of it as a musical because the music is kind of more supplementary, even though it has one of the great songs ever in the history of film.
Oh yeah,
with Somewhere Over the Rainbow, of course.
I agree.
And it's such a beautiful, moving performance, and especially if you hear Judy singing that later in her life, it's just absolutely heartbreaking.
It is.
And seeing each of the characters find their heart and their brain and their courage and is just so lovely. And I think that Judy's performance is underappreciated just as far as her acting. And I think
totally
she gives a very incredible performance. Like when she's in the witch's lair and there's that crystal ball and she looks in and she sees Aunt Em and she starts, calling out to Aunt Em, Aunt Em. It's like a very devastating performance. And
it is.
And of course you got like, what a world, what a world, what a world, where a good little girl like you can destroy my beautiful wickedness.
Such a great performance by her. And
all
the adults play dual roles,
Yeah.
So they're which is fun. I love the transition from black and white to color.
Oh yeah.
It's just, this movie is so great. Yeah. And I think it's aged so well.
I agree. And it's one that when I was little, it was a little too scary for me.
I
didn't appreciate it until I was older, honestly. And I was just, wow, that is a beautiful movie. And there's no place like home. And all that Dorothy learns along the way. And it's so fascinating to me because every attempt they have made outside of Wicked, and we'll see how the movie turns out, but movies, every attempt they have made to go back to Oz has been pretty terrible. In the
Oz
movies.
the Great and Powerful? Not great. Oh,
like it's not terrible, but it's kind of boring, and I hate Mila Kunis's character in that. But
I shouldn't tell this story, but I'm going to anyway. I won't name who it is, but my sister came home one time and said, I had a conversation with somebody, and we were talking about Oz. When it came out, and she goes, I have not seen it yet. And she came to ask me because she knew that I had seen it, and she goes, I haven't watched it yet. And the person she was spoken to goes, yeah, it answered a lot of questions that I had. And my sister went, with what? She goes, oh, with any questions you might have when you watch The Wizard of Oz. And my sister was like, you had questions when you watched The Wizard of Oz? And the person was like, yeah, I'm filling in the blanks. And my sister was like, huh. And she came home immediately and told me that. And she's like, did it answer non-existing questions? I was like, no, it didn't.
What do you have at 3?
My 3, this one I think straddles the line of musical, but it's my favorite Disney animated film ever, and it's Sleeping Beauty.
Oh.
And
it only has one song, so it is.
Yeah, it's like they keep repeating it over and over, and it has a lot of songs in the chorus songs in the background. And I knew that I was pushing it with Sleeping Beauty, and I was like,
I do love it. It's in my top 10 of Disney,
so and I like
Disney films.
They have Once Upon a Dream and I Wonder, and they're kind of like a mishmash together, and I was like, I'm gonna push it just a little bit just to get it on the line here, because there's a sing-along video on YouTube,
Yeah. And great movie, absolutely beautiful. It took them over a decade to make it.
I know, it's beautiful. It was Walt Disney's favorite. And
they had Sleeping Beauty's castle done at Disneyland like 4 or 5 years before the movie
they did was
released. That's how long it took.
Oh, the
to
matte paintings too that they have in that it's just it's a
Mhm.
beautiful movie to look at. And I
Yeah.
knew I was pushing
Ugh.
the limit with this one, but I was like, I gotta get it in. It's got a
Yeah.
song, it counts. Just the reasons I was making it. I was like,
And Philip, underrated Prince. He's awesome. He
totally,
storms the
totally.
castle.
Yeah.
He stands up to his dad.
Yeah.
He's a good one. He's a good one.
Yeah. And one of my I'm so, as much as I love Once Upon a Time, they really could have done so much more with Sleeping
Oh,
Beauty.
I don't know what they were doing with Sleeping Beauty and with Cinderella. They Cinderella. Well, the last season they had a new Cinderella, but the original
that last season
Cinderella
don't count. That's a
the-
fever dream.
Yeah,
Rachel.
the original Cinderella is only in like I think 2 episodes. You're like,
And
that's an
she does an
iconic
episode of the
character.
spinoff. I know. Did you ever see the spinoff?
The
The Once Upon a Time in Wonderland.
yeah.
Yeah, she's in that. What happened was that actress got a job in another show.
What was Jessie Schramm?
Yeah, but she got a job in that alien show that was on TNT.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I think
so
I asked her about that one in interviews, but
I don't know.
But anyway, I was just like, how
it
could
sucks.
you waste
Yeah.
Cinderella? Like that's such an iconic character, and you have
And,
like a
it's
whole
true,
plot
those
line for
were-
Jiminy Cricket. Like
Yeah.
what?
Ugh, I know. I mean, but those were like as much. I love that show though, and I forgive it a lot. But I wish they had done more with the Sleeping Beauty. Aurora's my
do
favorite
too.
character.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Those Maleficent
really good.
movies, I'm like, I'm almost afraid if they try to do
Oh, I
Sleeping
hate
Beauty
them.
again in live action.
Mhm.
These live action movies that Disney is doing have not been great. I still say Cinderella's the best.
Yeah.
And The Little Mermaid wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to
Yeah.
be. I enjoyed
Agreed.
that one.
Agreed. All right. Well, my number 2 is a little bit for nostalgia. I admit it. It's one that I watched on repeat as a child. But I do genuinely love it. It is The Sound of Music.
Oh,
It had to be I know that a lot of musical theater people are actually kind of like, oh, Sound of Music, because it is somewhat sweet and a little, saccharine,
they don't know what they're talking
people
about.
say. But I love it. I know that even Christopher Plummer has been known to have said that he got, like real sick of it and he thought it was too saccharine and whatever. But I absolutely love their chemistry.
Wrong.
I think that they Something Good is just one of the most romantic scenes in
when they dance,
the history of film.
Yeah, when they dance at that ball, like I melt.
Yeah.
When the relationship ended, I was like, this is my number 1 pick. The Sound of Music.
Nice. Yeah. I love all the songs, and it is an example of a movie that improved in the adaptation. It is way better than the stage, the original. Like now the stage musical has adapted a lot of the stuff from the movie. Like I Have Confidence was originally written for the movie, and they moved things. Like originally in the stage musical, the Favorite Things was later, where they have the Lonely Goat Herder, and she sang in the original stage, she sang the Lonely Goat Herder when the kids were scared. And I think it works way better the way they have it now. There's 2 songs that are sung by the Baroness and Max, and those are still in the, if you go see the musical, they're still in the stage version, and it makes them a lot more duplicitous as characters. It makes them a lot less likable. And they're not like that great. So it was definitely a smart move. Get rid of those songs. And they added Edelweiss, which is now a part of the show.
Oh,
but I mean, can you imagine without Edelweiss? Like that's so such a key.
Let me tell you something.
Moment.
Christopher, I know. Oh, Christopher Plummer is so hot in this movie. Like, especially when he's singing Edelweiss, I was like, take me back.
Did you know that his voice is dubbed? His singing voice?
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
but
because people are always very critical of the idea of dubbing. What they're critical of is dubbing that's bad. Like I would say probably a lot of people listening don't realize that his voice was dubbed.
But
because it was done so effortlessly that you don't even know.
No, because he did it. It's true. That's why I think his performance is so good. You just don't know. But it doesn't surprise me too, because that's of that era. There were so many people who were dubbed.
I wish we'd go back to it. I wish we
Oh,
would go back.
there
I
are
mean,
some people
they-
that I'll be like, yes.
speaking of live action remakes, I mean, if Emma Watson had been
Yeah.
dubbed, that movie would have been a million times better.
Yeah.
Like if I were her agent or her people, I would have demanded that they dub it.
Yeah, they don't do
because
that.
they absolutely should have. It was the wrong call. But so what's your number 2?
My number 2 is The Wizard of Oz,
Okay, yeah.
which we talked about, and my number
That's
1 was
so
The Sound of Music.
amazing that we end
Yeah.
up so similar on this
Switcheroo, yeah.
classic. Yeah.
Yeah, The Sound of Music is outside of another that we will talk about in the post 70 on.
Yeah.
It's my favorite musical, The Sound of Music.
It's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, my mother loved it.
Yeah.
She would sit there and goes, "Oh, so refreshing watch." And and it's just so good. And it has the great Anna Lee in it as one of the nuns. And for anybody who doesn't know, Anna Lee was a classic film actress, and she was Lila Quartermain on General Hospital
Peggy
for many
Wood.
years. Eleanor Parker is great as the Baroness.
I
She
love.
doesn't get enough credit for that, but she's good in it.
I love 16 going on 17. That the way that's all staged is just absolutely beautiful. I mean, as an adult, I can look at it now and be like, yeah, that's a really way too long. That movie does not need to be like like I can see why some people.
Yeah, they don't even include all the kids in the movie version because there's more kids in real life for the Van Trumps.
Oh yeah.
It is based on a real family.
It's 3 hours long. It is too long, but
yeah,
I
don't even care.
I absolutely love it. And it is one that I would watch on repeat over and over.
Absolutely.
That's a pretty intense movie for like.
I also saw this one in the theater, and I would recommend that if it's available for anybody to go see it. It was fantastic on the big screen, as they say. It was just so great. But yeah, it's great. And like Christopher Plummer, chef's kiss. You are prime in this movie.
It's so good. Like I'm saying, I think that
the way he rips that Nazi flag.
Oh yeah, I love that. It's so good.
A couple of years ago, say that movie was pro-Nazi.
Yeah,
The Sound of Music was pro-Nazi, and I was like, oh,
I got a gift for you.
They literally have to run away because they're so anti-Nazi.
Yeah.
So what did you think of the NBC's live version of it with
At the time, I was very dismissive about it, but now in retrospect, I'm not as hard on it because it was like one of the first of those that they ever did.
Right, I thought it was fine for what it was.
Yeah. I've warmed up to those live. I mean, just because I love live theater so much, and so I'm not as hard as I was at first.
Yeah.
But I hope they keep. I feel like we haven't had one in a little while, and I really.
I think they did Annie last year.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
No, it was said the year before. Oh, one of them. No,
I feel like it's been a little bit since we've had one, and I love them. So I hope they keep having them.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, it's one of my all-time favorite movies.
Yeah,
I
totally
just love it.
Watch it.
Well,
it is amazing. So many amazing moments. It looks beautiful too.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's a time capsule, really, of that place, of that time. Yeah.
With the sound of music. Yeah. Unbelievable. Well, my number 1 is Singing in the Rain.
Yeah.
It's a perfect film. I mean, I really
it totally.
The Broadway ballet is maybe just a hair too long, but
I love it. It's just so beautiful. It's so beautiful to look at.
Appreciation because I mentioned this in our last one. As a younger person, it was like I was very like plot focused, and so I was like, why is this here? Like this doesn't mean anything.
Yes, yeah, it's true. Yeah.
But once I learned about Gene Kelly and his desire to introduce ballet to the world, like it just I was able to be like, okay, this is this.
He was smart. He was smart that way.
Yeah,
it's such a beautiful piece too.
It's so funny. The dancing is unbelievable. The incredible sequences, like of course, Singing in the Rain, Good Morning, Make Them Laugh. It's
perfect. Yeah, and what was that? I'm trying to remember the actor's name.
Donald
Donald
O'Connor.
O'Connor
Yeah.
almost passed out doing his number.
Hmm.
You
I've
know,
seen
when
it a ton of times on the stage. I absolutely
Yeah.
love that. And it's a great story. It's super
It is. It's
funny. It's
great.
super romantic. It's wonderful. It's number one.
Yep, totally.
All
Watch it,
right, we
people.
did
It's
it.
great.
Okay,
Yay.
good. Well, let us know what your favorites are. We would love to hear, but we want to hear from the patrons and we want to hear from you what your lists are. So put them in the comment section and or on Twitter or wherever. And if you want to make your own like videos or your own podcast episodes, we would love to be tagged and to tell us what your rankings are. And I'll put down our short list that we had on Letterboxd, because that's what we do for this. We always have a short list that we're going off of. And so check those out. We'll have those links in the description. And Terry, where can people find you?
I am at Twitter. I'm not going to call it X because it sounds like an adult site, and I am not on there.
Yes.
At Fillery Heaven.
Yes. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. And you can find my reviews of theater at rachelsreviewstheater.com. So if you want more of my thoughts on lots of musicals, you can check that out. And also check out the Patreon. We really appreciate your support, and you can be part of these episodes. And also we have the merch store, so check that out. And if you're listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. We really appreciate that. And if you are listening on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Most of our listeners on YouTube are not subscribed, so please, please, please subscribe if you're one of those people. We would really appreciate it. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.